So guys, going to the Chinese Grand Prix in China this weekend. It's going to be a very interesting one. After the first race in Melbourne, Australia, we had a lot of critiques about the race, which for me I'm part of because we expected more from the race. But for us that knew that it's going to be difficult, we saw that coming. So it was a difficult one. Some teams didn't enjoy it. Even George Russell himself complained that they need to work on the battery and the racing. A lot of things were changed before the first race. Now going to the second race, a lot of things will be looked at. And probably at the end of this race, before the Japanese Grand Prix in 2 weeks time, they will also review the energy management issue for the race. Now the Chinese Grand Prix is hosted on the Shanghai International Circuit. Shanghai International Circuit was first broken in 2003, opened on 6 June 2004. I think the whole construction cost was about $450 million. Chinese did their stuff and they did it very well. It's a very interesting one, and it is owned by the Shanghai Jushi Group. The Shanghai, they own the 92% of that track. Is their race, is their track, and it has 19 turns. Turn 13 to 14, the longest straight, then 16 back to turn 1. So it's a very long straight, but not as long as that one. So it's going to be very interesting to see what each team are able to do with their car and their rear front wings. They might have to adjust the front wings so it won't be bending totally, because one of the things George Russell complained about, that whenever the front wings open behind the car, they lose the steering to understeers. They will look at it. Let's see what that brings. The race has been held 18 times since 2004. Lewis Hamilton has won 6 of those races in his Mercedes, with Mercedes winning 6 as a constructor with Lewis Hamilton. The circuit length is 5.451 kilometers. That's about 3.387 miles. The race length is 305.006 kilometers. That's 189.559 miles. 56 lap race with a sprint race. That's the first sprint race of the season. The last sprint race there was won by Lewis Hamilton. That was last year 2025, with Ferrari coming in the main race, losing out and also losing out points. That was the beginning of the end for Ferrari last year, when they caught their reality that lowering the car gives them more grip, but they lose the skid block, which took the race away from the two Ferraris. It's going to be having a 19 lap sprint race and a 56 lap main race. And the main race last year, Oscar Piastri took pole position and he also won the race, with Lando Norris taking up fastest lap. Now let me take you back to 2019, in which the Mercedes dominated. Mercedes started 1-2 on the grid and ended 1-2, but in order of Bottas, Hamilton starting, then Hamilton, Bottas finishing, Vettel third, Verstappen fourth. It was an aggressive race between Vettel and Verstappen. Very interesting though. In 2024, when we came back after the long COVID from 2020 to 2023, there was no race there. Verstappen came back to win the race in Shanghai, while in 2025, Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris, so it was a McLaren race win. What do you expect this year? With what we've seen, I believe it's going to be a very splendid race to see. And how is this going to affect championship order? The sprint, you don't have time to change anything. Right from the practice one, you make your setup, come into the sprint qualifying, push it out. The next morning, come into the sprint race, then go for qualifying. So you have less time to adjust and do a lot of things on the car. But I think this will give us a faster time on than last year, because the car, a lot of people have learned a lot from the car from the first race. So from the data, you're going to see the cars getting much more faster, unlike the last road technology that didn't really push us. But I think this one, aside from the 50-50 that is dragging the battery down, a lot of teams are learning with AI. They are learning data with a lot of, so they are improving fast, and we can see how the drivers were learning fast last week. So this week is going to be very interesting with that sprint race. Going to see a lot of teams coming gusty into the race. We expect there to be a clear weather and calm weather, temperature ranging from 4.6 degrees in the morning to the maximum of 17 degrees during the day. So it's going to be not so windy condition, with about 11.5 kilometers per hour wind, reaching about 36 kilometers per hour. So from mild wind to a little bit heavy wind. It's going to be very interesting. No rain, which makes it much more interesting to see how this will pan out in Shanghai. Now, how does the car behave? We saw that the Mercedes and the Ferrari are top of the game. Ferrari has the best car, Mercedes has the best engine. Ferrari has a very quite good engine, which I think if they are able to work something out, it will give them a very strange opportunity against the Mercedes. But how do this really prop up to give us a very interesting race? I think if Ferrari don't mismanage their strategy, they are in it to win both the sprint and the main race. But if they mismanage it, it's going to be a Mercedes win all through. Ferrari has an opportunity to stay close to Mercedes and force them to make mistakes if they want to. And if they can make Mercedes make mistakes, they can force Mercedes out of the race and probably win the race. And Mercedes has the opportunity to use their strategy formulation, beat Ferrari in this game, because they have a very good one. And Ferrari bringing the Macarena rear wings could give them a benefit that would also hold Mercedes contempt in that race. So let's see how this save day for both of them. Now, that strategy, we are going to be having the C2, C3, and C4. The C2 will be the hard tire, the C3 will be the medium tire, and the C4 being the soft tire coming into this race. You know, tire formation has changed. So the hard tire will be used on the long run. So I think they'll be using much of the hard and medium tires. We saw in the last race, Ferraris are mild on their tires. They don't eat into their tires like Mercedes and other teams, which will favor them. One of the major setbacks that Red Bull had in the last race was their tire. Max Verstappen hit too much into his tire, and that didn't help them. If they can work that tire issue we've seen in 2022, 2023, teams that are not mild on their tires eat into their tire and destroy the tire life, and that don't help them in races. If Red Bull can work on their tire management, I think it will bring them into the game with Ferrari and Mercedes. But I think with what we are seeing, Red Bull will also have something to lay claim into the race, because it's going to be interesting to see